We should be live now. Hey, what's the crack? What's the story, lads? We've gotten a hobby hangout going again. Seems to be working alright. Is the audio alright, Frizz? Everything's alright? With a few
I
people.
think it's good for me anyway. I don't know about the chat.
Chat seems to be there. The Grot's being revolting again. I see the orc stuffs. What's the story? Which is we've managed to get another hobby hangout going again. I apologise for the lack of them due to the new job, but we've got a 5header on here. Another man of the Emerald Isle on with me. Just call you Header from now on, will we?
Finally got someone good on. Oh, we'll see.
So what's the crack? Yeah, we've got on the table some orcs I'm gonna be priming. Just doing a bit of surface priming. Nothing too special. We'll just have a bit of a chat, a bit of banters. I got some Blood Bowl orcs that I'm going to be having a bash at. Everyone else, if you're working on something, throw it into the old Discord. I'll throw up a link. We'll have a look at the end. You know yourself. What are you going to be working on, Heather?
I have these snake bites that I have on my channel at the moment. I'm kind of working on these. What are they called now? Savage Uruks? Savage Orcs? I know they used to be Savage Orcs.
Savage.
Those Savage, the Naked Orcs.
Anyway. Are the AOS ones, is it? The Age of Sigmar stuff?
Yeah. So kind of combining them with the 40k stuff to make some kind of snake bites. But I'm having a lot of fun sculpting squigs and squiggly beasts of all sizes and shapes and anything kind of going and converting the crap out of them. Which is pretty cool. I'm putting some paint on them at the moment, but I think I'm going to stop doing that because I'm not feeling it. I might throw together a boy.
All right. You know, I get you. That's it. Like, you're more than welcome to, like, but yeah, if you're not feeling the groove for something, I can definitely understand not finishing a project if you're not feeling it. You know what I mean?
I think that's the biggest problem I have, and I think it's common with a lot of hobbyists, isn't it?
Yeah. The motivation can drop off, sort of waxes and wanes. You know what I mean?
It's too real. There must be some kind of psychology behind it. I don't know if it's if I can stretch it to saying, oh, it's an artist problem, because I wouldn't consider myself an artist now, but a hobbyist. Because use the word hobbyist maybe.
Probably creatives. I'd say like creative sorts.
Yeah, maybe
we must have. There must be like similar personality traits that we have. That enough people, like, they go through the same sort of emotional roller coasters or whatever you want to call it. I don't know the terminology, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You know yourself, but you know.
There must be something to it, right? Because anybody that I've listened to, like, I think a big one recently was Spud's I'm a Wargamer. I watched a fucking ton of videos on them of loads of lads that I hadn't heard of, right?
Yeah.
And that, it was all sorts of different stuff. There was people that were, a lot of 40k people, a lot of AOS people, historicals as well, which I'm not mad into, but I can see the appeal of it, and it's all the same kind of idea. But that just so many people's question or answers to the questions were very similar, but that they'd all kind of experienced this too many ideas type thing, or you want to start a project and you kind of get inspiration for it, you find your muse or whatever the term is, and then you're like, fuck, I want to get home now and get that done. You start it, and then you kind of get to the point where you're happy with it, so you don't need to finish it, which is kind of funny, but it's Jesus, that happened to me so much, and it gets depressing then when you look and you have a little
and you have these unfinished projects staring at you. No, mate, I have no idea what you're talking about at all.
It's just so
common. Yeah.
Do they know that as well? Because that's why, exactly, you're saying plastic crack. Like, that's why they sell it. Like, you don't need to paint the thing. They just want,
They just, yeah. I think it ties into, like, traditional wargaming in that, like, the old school lads, the thing they used to do is, like, the concept to a lot of them of playing with unpainted miniatures just seems alien to them. Do you know what I mean? Especially the old school sort of guys. I find that with historical wargamers. Now, obviously not all of them, but it seems to be a trait that quite a few of them have. But it seems to be something that dropped off along the way with
mm,
the likes of Warhammer and such. Like I used to go to the Games Workshop up in Dublin here, up
mm,
in the city, and it was when I first went there. It used to be like if you bought something, if you came in next week, you had to show progress. You had to be painting your stuff. But over time, that sort of relaxed. You know what I
mm.
mean? They sort of didn't stick to it, and then you start seeing, unpainted armies more and more. Now it could have changed again, but I
It's kind of,
understand.
it's a pity, really, is all it is, and it's I know it's kind of like anything when it becomes more approachable for more people. Some people are going to be more into the building side of it. The painters are going to go mad painting anyway. But even in the painting, you could be someone that loves batch painting and slamming through armies, getting your Blood Bowl teams done, just slamming through stuff. Or you could be someone that, would have one mini and paint the absolute bollocks off it, like just make it absolutely beautiful. There's just it appeals to so many people, and they're trying to make it appeal to more people as they go. So it's kind of hard to like the standard is going to be different for everybody in the hobby, if you get me, or at least that's my understanding of it.
No, no, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, different people are going to want different things from the hobby. Like, my missus, she likes the idea of painting miniatures, but
Mm,
she has no interest in playing the game at this moment in
mm.
time, and it's not something I'm going to push on her. But I'm
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah.
sort it out
Sure,
with some
that's
some
huge.
miniatures, and
Jesus, I'm sure you have plenty to be given her, like.
yeah. There's loads of stuff, and then paints as well. Like, you know what I mean, focusing on that aspect, and even my brother,
Mm,
like, I got him to try painting miniatures, and people tend to like sort of the therapeutic aspect of it, where you just get lost in the painting a miniature, sort of that
mm.
zen sort of place you go to.
And
Um,
acrylics are so approachable for a medium. They're just amazingly like forgiving and so easy. Obviously, like wearing clothes. I think I remember wanting to change my clothes when I was a kid when I was starting to paint. I was like, oh, if I spill my paint on my clothes, I'll be killed.
yeah.
So I'd nearly have to put on an old t-shirt, like, do you know that kind of like, or there's been so many fucking pants I've ruined with a drop of super glue. And then
Oh yeah.
I
I had
fucking
a, I
red
had a nice
people.
pair of shorts I used to love that I round with super glue. Yeah,
Yeah.
used to did me nothing.
But yeah, no, it does appeal to a lot of different people like that. I think as far as I've got with it so far is I got my wife to paint a little wizard. I think I just showed her. It was like a Reaper Bones wizard, and I was doing it one at the same time just to kind of show her the really basic shit, like layering and highlighting, dry
Yeah,
brush and washing kind of stuff. And hers came out just as good as mine. So I mean, that goes to show how much effort or skill I think I've got from years and years of in the hobby. But I suppose that's it. That's because painting's not really been my interest.
their
Like,
main focus on it. Yeah, that's the thing with me as well. It's for me, they're playing pieces for a game. You know what I mean? Like, my main interest has always sort of been like the game aspect of it,
mm,
playing a game with it. But I can understand, other people's focus may be, oh, they just enjoy painting it, or
mm,
they like crafting more. But it's interesting you were saying about the Reaper Bones miniatures,
mm,
because my missus was saying, like, she's not interested in building them, even like building and converting. That's another aspect of the hobby in and of itself, and not
mm.
everyone's interested in that. You know what I mean? So the Reaper Bones are good in that regard, where you can just sort of pick them up and you can just get cracking painting them. Most of them are single piece miniatures.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Jesus, I think. Well, I've got one of the Kickstarters, the Bones 4, and I made a bit of a go at painting a lot of them. I made a bit of a, a dent in the whole shebang, like whatever it is, hundreds of fucking things you get, and that, and I think I have Bones 5 on the way at some point. I think I backed that, but yeah, like there's some really nice ones in it, but you would notice the quality difference from GW stuff, just the sharpness of the crispness of the details and that kind of thing is not there on a lot of them. But if
Yeah,
that's not what you're looking for, uh, for their purpose, what they were made for originally, as in like D&D character pieces and monsters and that kind of thing being the cheapest option. I think they're probably the best you can get for like price wise and kind of slap some paint on a kind of job and durability.
Oh, definitely, yeah, yeah. No, I think they fit a purpose all right. Like, if someone's going to do a competition piece, they're probably not going to buy a Reaper Bones miniature. But if somebody's getting
No,
into the hobby, or they're doing their D&D, or they just want to have a crack at painting something for the laugh, maybe something a bit different, but you don't want to invest too much, you
oh,
know,
totally, yeah, yeah. Or if
they
like
seem to be that.
if I had a local hobby shop and they had bones on the shelves and they were fucking £3 or £5, I'd be very fucking there. It'd be very hard not to pop in and pick up a few bits every time I was in town, like,
Yeah,
like back in the day, when I was actually in town, but you know yourself.
back
Yeah,
before
things
the
very,
plague.
very simple. Before the plague, yeah, that's probably the best word for it.
The blessings of Papa Nurgle. Yeah, back before then. I know, man, I know. Back
But
when
the
we
whole,
could get games in.
yeah,
Sure.
well, this is the whole thing, the idea of games and all. Like, I've been in the hobby so many years, and I've really not played much of any games really, like, which is it's kind of bollocks. I'd love to get into it more, but
So what brought like
you
what
know,
brought you into the hobby then? Like, how did you start off? Like, did you start? Were you
uh,
young, or is it only
yeah,
sort
yeah,
of something you've gotten into as you've gotten older and you had a bit of disposable cash? Like,
disposable cash, yeah.
if such a thing exists.
I wouldn't be fucking making monsters out of toys I found in the skip if I had enough disposable cash. Uh, what was I gonna say? Yeah, it was. I think it was primary school, and it was maybe about fifth class. So what would have been like 11 or something. And it was one of the lads in the class had. I think this is similar to yourself actually. Had Warhammer Fantasy.
Hmm.
I think he got a starter set, and then one of the other lads in the village got it as well. And culture, yeah, I know, but it's grand.
From the
And
sticks.
up the village, we were talking about it after mass, and everything was class. Um, and uh, and he was showing me his minis, and I had what was it, a Spitfire or a wee tank or some bollocks like that, and uh, yeah, it was just showing me that, and then I picked up a few bits in the local toy master, and if it was, you know, big regiment of orcs or goblins or something like that, random bits and bobs. I just thought it looked cool and messing with it.
Back when
Uh,
Toy Master used
and
to sell Games Workshop stuff. Jesus, I remember that.
they'd have a very small range of it, but they'd have a few bits like,
Yeah, yeah, they'd have them in with like the scale model kits
hmm,
and stuff. Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. It was like that up here as well. Like, you could go into the Toy Master up on Jervis Street, and they'd have some for
hmm,
sale up beside the scale model kits. And
that's a serious toy master actually.
that's it's
That's,
a big enough one, Ari. Yeah,
I
yeah.
was in there. I actually have memories of that when I was it after my confirmation, or it would have been earlier than that. And we were up in Dublin, me and my mum, and we went in there, and it was the biggest fucking toy shop I saw in my life. I was like, this is unreal. This is just, nearly kid in a candy store type idea.
Oh, of
Yeah,
course. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
unreal. Um, but yeah, I think so. I live in Kilkenny, right? And I was at one point, fell out of the hobby. The whole idea of, I think this is a pretty common thing in the I'm a War Gamers as well. When the lads got into about, what age would they be? 15, 16, and they started chasing women and all sorts. So it was kind of, I'm not going to be painting much
You
Space
got
Marines
somewhat distracted.
from trying to get me whole, like, so it's kind of, you know, that kind of priorities changed for a bit. And while I was in that stage, I'm pretty sure there was a local like hobby shop in Kilkenny, but I never even went into it. And I heard afterwards, like, they had a basement with tables and everything, and I fucking regretted it, never even having a look. Like,
Ah, you never even got
it
it.
sounded crap,
Well,
you know, you know,
the old hormones were doing the thinking for you back in that day and age. You know what I mean? So you
yeah,
can't
oh,
really
it's great.
blame you.
You have
We've
your
all
fun
been
doing
there.
it, don't you?
All been there.
But
Yeah.
no, the whole idea of, popping in somewhere and you have people playing games there, and you look around and there's stuff on the shelf. You have it all in the same place. You can get your primer, your glues, your minis, anything you
One
might
stop
want.
shop type of thing. Yeah.
Stop shop exactly, and I don't know. That's class. I'd love to have something around. I think the closest one I have is Wexford.
Oh, there's Mountain Gremlin Games is in Wexford, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's the closest I have now. But I don't know. Yeah. Jeez, I can bollocks on. Jeez, you won't even realize when someone asks you a question, you just keep shouting on.
You talk the legs off a chair. You're in the right place, oh Chief. You're in the right place. What's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
crack, lads? There's quite a few heads in tonight. Essex boys, some new faces. Kobe Taylor, Orc stuff. Some of the usuals. Drunken Orc, Slev, Sledden. I have to say that one. Mostly
Drunken
Zen.
orc.
What's the
That's
crack?
that's a fucking that's some old lore shit, isn't it? Drunken orc. Like orcs are meant to be. I know they're meant to be smelly. They're meant to be obviously quite dense. They're meant to, they're fungal, but also like they're mad for drink.
Mad for a brew.
Round, yeah.
Did
But
you ever play out of the White Dwarf the Brewhouse Bash, the game that they made back in would have been in the 90s in White Dwarf?
you know what? That's actually funny you said that because only recently I was looking at old, all the PDFs kind of floating around
Yeah,
of old games like that, and actually Dim hooked me up with one. He had a collection of the old squigs and little snippets of lore, and I'm kind of incorporating them in me snake bites. Um, and that kind of thing. And they're really interesting. They might have a little funny sketch and everything. But I did actually download the rule set to that game. Now I didn't actually read it, but I was like, what the fuck? Like orcs have just like so many side games. Like that's a little side game. They have Gork Morka. They have Speed Freaks, Speed
yeah, the
Cult of.
box Speed Freaks. That's a game in and of itself. Yeah,
So like, come on, like never mind 40k. They just start like fucking orcs, like orcs the game. You know what I mean? Like,
but they're a very interesting race in the game in general. I just think
mm,
Games Workshop have their plate full with Space Marines
mm,
and the sort. You know what I mean?
yeah. And I don't like. It's funny when because the Space Marines are kind of the pinnacle. You have to have someone that you can bash their face in, like to be the baddies. And fair enough, Space Marines have enough baddies to be dealing with. But our orcs really are they up to the task? Like they're not really bigging them up enough for like in the lore. Obviously, you have Gazgul Tracker or whatever how to say his name, and you have all these mad war bosses. But then when they actually get on the table, do they really match up?
Does it represent what's in the lore?
Yeah, like, I
Matching
know
up.
you can't really do that, but maybe exactly, but it'd be um it'd be a very different game, I suppose, if you did, wouldn't it?
It all depends. Like if it all matches up the lore,
Mm.
like Space Marines would be your whole army would probably fight only 10 Space Marines or something like that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Was
You
it like
know,
Grey Knight? At one stage, actually, it's funny because I've got two younger brothers, so it was always like, get me into the hobby, or they'd always be mad for what you're mad for, the way it is. And what was it? One of them wasn't really into it, and the other one, the younger one again, at one point he got Grey Knights because there was actually a lad in town in Kilkenny we used to go into, and we played D&D with him and this kind of stuff. And he was telling Grey Knights are great because they're very low model count, so they're cheaper, which kind of makes sense, I suppose, back in the day. So you only need whatever it is, like 10 Grey Knights or 15.
yeah, very elite army. Yeah,
Yeah, so that was the appeal of that. And then, so he got Grey Knights, that was cool. He got a few bits. And we never actually, I think we played one or two games, like, and then he got Space Wolves. Um, and he had a few bits of them as well. And actually, I'm just only after remembering, he got the Land Raider, and I was like, "Here, do you want me to help you put that together?" Like, it's not probably the easiest kit going. And he was like, "No, no, I'm fine." Do he was fucking 12 or something at the time. He was like, "No, I can do this myself, whatever." And what he did was he put the spot, he built it fine, and then the sponson guns, I think that's what they're called. One of them, one of them he had like a las cannon, like twin glass cannon or something. And the other one was heavy boulders, but he stuck it on upside down. And I was like, you're fucking idiot. Like, it looks stupid. And he just ruined it. Like, do you know, I think I might actually buy it off him now for like, he'd probably give it to me for a tenner or something like that if I can find it in the attic. But it was just funny. Um,
Building
but yeah.
things arseways as a kid. But I think that's half the joy of it,
Yeah.
though, was you wanted to do it yourself. Like,
Mm. Oh, like the orcs I got in Toy Master that time were built all sorts of freaking ways. You know, I didn't realize they had to.
you had
Um,
specific weapons or something like that, or you need so many of them.
yeah, or between they had to fit on the square bases together and like that. Like I wasn't thinking. I didn't even know the thing was a game. You know.
I get you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're just sort of focused on the miniatures and how cool they look. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That the first time you see like two fully painted armies on a table as a
Mm,
kid, especially as a kid, it's like
mm.
very like that's you're very impressionable to that. That's the visual spectacle.
Oh,
It looks
totally.
good. Even now, like
Oh yeah.
I
Like I
think
told
even
you.
more now because you'll appreciate. It's like, oh, I've tried to paint miniatures myself. So you see somebody
Mm.
with a fully painted army, it's like Jesus, the amount of time.
It's like that reps on YouTube must actually really sell GW as a game, as a hobby. You know, without even realizing it really that they're, you know, what's your man, Striking Scorpion and all this kind of just the really highest quality. He's got paint jobs up to the max. He got the battlefield looks great. You know, the presentation is great. That kind of thing. He sets it up like a movie. You know.
Yeah, oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah. Like even so all that work is putting into the stuff, and then
yeah.
like even just making reports themselves takes a lot of effort, man.
Oh,
All the
I can imagine.
editing and the filming, the different footage, more than one camera, and
Yeah.
investing so that you're set. Like there's a lot to a decent battle report, and I think
Yeah.
if it's done really well, you don't even realize like
Mm.
how much time could be put into it. But fair play to
The
them, like.
Yeah, exactly, and he keeps at it like, and what was I gonna say? Jeez, I can't remember. But
Talk about armies being painted in battle reports.
and oh yeah, I think I said this to you at some point now on the Discord. But yeah, that was another time that I think it was in Waterford that I went to. There was some kind of hobby on. There was some kind of small tournament on, and I had went to it, and there was these. I was just with my parents, and we went around. It was just in a hotel, and there was lads playing games, and I was maybe like I can't remember. It was like 10 or 11. And I was looking at, you know, talking to the lads playing the games, and my mum be asking stupid questions. But, you know what I mean? Like, why do you have so many dice? What's this fella do? She nearly picked the lad up from the table and go, "Who's this lad?" I was like, "Don't fucking touch him," you know. But I know she wasn't that bad, but she'd be asking questions like, "But he has more lads than you. Is that fair?" And just kind of baby talking to me, and no, everybody there was really sound and kind of explaining really simply. There was one lad, he was playing Imperial Guard, and he had tanks and a few, you know, platoons of guardsmen, and there was a fucking ton of Tyranids, but they were those old Hormagaunts with the big alien heads on them.
The old
Cool old
metal
design.
ones.
Yeah, yeah, they look deadly. And then we were leaving, and I think I bought something. I probably bought like a fucking paintbrush or something on the way out, and there was a lady at the desk, and she wasn't bad looking, like, you know, even when I was 11. And and I don't know how it came up in conversation, but you know, my mom asked her something, and she was like, "Oh yeah, sure. Look, I'm here. You know what I mean? I'm here with my husband or something like that." And I was like, "What? Why these lads playing with these miniatures? Like, are married? Like, you know what I mean?
You
They
just
have girlfriends, they have wives." I was like, "What? Okay, cool, cool. Okay, this isn't so bad. Like, you know, I don't
it's
know.
a,
You know the way it is when you're fucking
when you're younger, yeah, yeah. Well,
younger and
I
so
think even the hobby's changed quite a lot. It's a lot more acceptable now. Not that it was like wasn't acceptable, but it was more like in Ireland. It's like if you're not into the guard or football, it's like good luck. You know
mm,
what I mean? It was
mm,
like that for a very long time. But I think it's a lot easier to find people who are into the hobby now than years ago. You
yeah.
know
You know,
yourself.
I love that if that would happen, but it's kind of a funny one to bring up in conversation because it's almost, I don't know. Yeah, like you were saying, expected to be like, sure, you're watching the match the weekend or
Yeah, yeah, exactly. What football or what team do you support? Now, some more
yeah.
gamers do watch football, but when you turn around and
Oh,
say, "Sure, I don't watch the soccer," I don't. What do you mean you don't support a team?
yeah,
Especially
yeah.
when I was a barman. Oh, some people used to be horrified then.
Oh yeah. What team do you support? Fucking Dead Skulls or something, bro. Whatever.
Yeah.
Bro, that is.
I don't watch the football. Sure, well, what's the point? I come down here to have a chat about the game. I'm like,
Yeah,
I used to tell people, it's like the only time I'd watch football is when Ireland made it to the World Cup, and he's like, sure, Jesus, no wonder you weren't interested. So,
yeah, yeah.
like, there
To
you
be
go.
fair, I'm exactly the same. I'm exactly the same. I'd only watch it then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like for anyone who doesn't know, Ireland have made it into the World Cup. I think a grand total of three times throughout the history of the tournament. You know,
And they're really like they're not a great team. They've never been a great team, from my knowledge anyway. But everybody always gets behind them 100%. And they fucking it's some crack though when they actually get
oh
going
yeah,
and
the country goes bleeding mad for it to do. They go absolutely mad for it when we go to the World Cup.
yeah, it's like what if we win? What if we win? It's like shut
So,
the
but
fuck.
yeah, there's no chance of us winning, but we like to imagine that there's a
Yeah,
possibility. You know what I mean? We
fucking
be like, what is it? I think the best we ever did was like the quarterfinals or something like that. We got out of the groups. It's
I
back in
couldn't tell you.
was it with Jack Charlton or something like that? That's how
Yeah,
infamous that is. I think it was like Italian 90 or USA 94. This is like the
yeah,
heyday
yeah,
of Irish football, and it's
yeah,
like, yeah, people still go on about it now. You know, so I don't really know much about football, and I'm able to tell you
yeah, yeah. No,
that's what it is. That was the equivalent to us winning the World Cup. Is like we got to the quarterfinals. That's how good it got. We've never gotten as good
yeah.
again.
That's why I think people are so mad for the rugby as well, because we actually make a
It's a
bit of
sport we're actually decent at.
we're actually make a dent, when people think of Irish rugby, they're not like, who, what, like, what are you talking about? Do they even play rugby? Do you know what I mean? There's
Yeah,
there's actually renown for it in a way, and it's a funny one. I think
gas
it's
like.
great stuff like that, like sports like that. It makes sense for bringing the community together and something to talk about apart from the weather and this kind of shit. I don't know if the weather thing is an Irish thing or if it's literally, you know, is that a Western thing? What is it like? It's cold outside, it's hot outside. Okay, we agree. Now what do we talk about?
Talking
I
about the
don't
weather.
know.
It's just an icebreaker, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
I used to think it was really kind of, when as a teenager, I was there like, "What are you talking about weather? So stupid, so cringy." It's like, exactly, it's just an icebreaker, it's common ground, you know. I'm trying not to shout too much because I've got a snotling in the other room and I don't want to wake him up.
I'll be waking the sprugs.
Or no, I'll get in trouble. The war boss will
we
come.
don't want, yeah, we don't want to be doing that. Don't want to be getting you in trouble.
Yeah, whoa. Hope she doesn't want to.
God, man, gas,
Yes, good.
gas. But this is the thing, like, when we were talking about getting into the hobby, like, what? How did you end up going down the line of making your own stuff? Because when I came across your channel, that's what I noticed. I was looking for other Irish creators.
Mm.
Um, and I noticed you were making stuff out of like cheap toys, and you were taking them and turning them into stuff for D&D. And
Mm.
so, how did you end up going like down that line?
Uh,
With it just out of necessity, really, or
I think I get more enjoyment out of it as well. It's more satisfying. I don't know. I went through a phase as well. What was it? When I was about 11 or 12. I think 11 or 12. I keep referencing that kind of age. That was a fucking turning point in my life. Something must have happened. Um, but yeah, I went and I broke loads of my toys. Had a lot of enjoyment smashing my toys and breaking big rocks off them and stuff, right? Like action figures.
hmm,
And I don't know if anybody else did this. And then kind of putting them back together with Morla, like Mala,
Mala,
right?
yeah.
It was a really crap material to use to put toys together,
Was
but
it?
it
It's
wasn't permanent.
plasticine clay or
Plas-
something? It's that. Yeah, it doesn't
Plastic,
say.
that's it.
Yeah, yeah.
No, it's crap. Like if I had a hot glue back then, I would have done some fucking damage, but it would have been class. But anyway, Yeah, that was the whole thing, and I put them back together in different ways and kind of be like, oh, this action man has guns for arms, and there was like this earthworm gym toy that I had that got smashed but turned into something else, and all the biker mice from Mars and all this shit.
The good
And
stuff, the good 90s stuff.
yeah, and it's all, I think it's either thrown out or it's in pieces in the attic. But yeah, and then I'd kind of, I don't know, make stuff out of that, and then got into the hobby, and then it's weird trying to think about what happened in which time period. But yeah, it kind of was always that way, and I always wanted to make things unique. Like if I see, I think at one point I got Catachan Jungle Fighters. Do you remember those burly lads? I think they're the fucking same models
I
now.
think yeah, they're still the base plastic lads are still the same. Super hench. I know the ones you're on about. Yeah.
He got one lad, and he has his eyes like this to aim, or whichever fucking way it is, right? With his las gun, and that the fucking face is so stupid. He can't use it
Oh
for anything.
yeah, yeah.
He stubbed his toe or something. Like it's just a stupid fucking head. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, I had them and just customizing all them. I don't know. Yeah, it's just more enjoyable, I think. And then the toys thing was, I was influenced by a guy on YouTube as well. His name is Miniature Mashup, and I had been playing Lord of the Rings or collecting those minis for ages, and orcs and that kind of thing. But then with the miniature matchup, really got me into looking at toys in a different way. And then, sure, Jesus, my fucking hoarding level went up quite quickly. Um, but yeah, it was really that because it's the same shit. Like if you're building on top of it and it's decent plastic and it takes super glue, you can pin it, you can sculpt on it, you can use all sorts of different materials on it. It's really freeing, if you're, okay with kind of going down that road. It's a lot cheaper as well. It's a lot cheaper.
No, no, you can understand it being more liberating because you won't be as afraid of like messing a miniature up if you're making it
Mm.
from something that costs you a couple of quid. But if you're getting a kit that's like 40 or 50 euro, you know what I mean. You're gonna be a bit more hesitant to take a hacksaw blade to it and
Yeah, yeah,
get
yeah.
the old green stuff out or whatever you're using, milliput or various clays. People
This is
messing around.
there's so many guys on YouTube that do it as well, like that do the D&D crafting side of it. Now, a ton of it is terrain, which I've never kind of super dove into myself because, like I was saying, I don't really play much, so there's not much point in me putting in time into building terrain.
There's
But
no emphasis. You're not playing you don't play D&D yourself? No, no.
fucking very rarely, very, very rarely, and now even more so because I've not kind of got into playing online. So the little bit I do play, and actually the most recent one was a session I did with some of the lads that I was in college with, and they're still really good friends. They're local, like, and it was good crack. Like I had stuff kind of pre-made for them, and they create a bunch themselves, and it just went fucking mental. It was just really silly, but it was really good crack. And like we were having a few drinks and all as well, but it's a really good game to get into when you don't take it too seriously, I think. And so hopefully I can continue that campaign or bunch of characters at some point. But apart from that, super rarely.
Banter with the lads.
You know,
Yeah, it's always good to try and get time to get a game in when you can. You
now
know,
the big deal of it is I'd love to get into games like Frostgrave was really appealing to me. I've never actually played it, but I have so many minis I could easily work for it. And this kind of thing, campaign of Frostgrave or Lord of the Rings battle companies. I did lots of battles with when I was younger with my brothers, and that was always such great fun. Um, just because of the whole narrative side of it. So
did you do the Agostini magazine? Did you? Um, I know quite a few people who got into Lord of the Rings, the monthly magazine or the weekly magazine. I would think it was like a monthly magazine they did for Lord of the Rings back in the
I think
day.
it was fortnightly, yeah. Oh, that was fucking fantastic. They did. They did really well with that one. I think I bought maybe 5 or 6 issues of the first episode, and I have a fuck ton of goblins. But
The Moria goblins. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
They were tiny,
the-
man. They were super tiny.
yeah. The scale was more. I don't know what do they call it, true scale or something like this.
Yeah, I
This
think
is
they were more like true 28 mm scale, whereas if you look at Games Workshop stuff, it isn't as two scale. You know what I mean?
it. I think yeah, it really got me into it. And sure, like I was a massive fan of the movie and everything, so I was really the age bracket for it. It really worked. I landed right there in the target audience, and they got me good. But I'm happy.
Oh,
So
I was
kind of like
heartbroken. I wanted to get it, but I think I was doing my junior cert that year. Me L1 wasn't having a bar of it. She's like, "No, it's supposed to be studying, not happening." It's like, ah, well, all right. But me mate got
junior.
it.
Did you do your leaving search? Yeah,
Did I?
yeah.
Yeah, I did. I did me leaving. Yeah, yeah.
So junior cert means absolute fucking
Nothing.
no.
Oh yeah, yeah. It means nothing, man. It's. I think it's just something to keep you busy, to keep you in school. Like, means nothing. Not a bar.
Get in trouble. Oh no, I'd rather be in my room making fucking goblins. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Well, this is it. Like, you're not going to be in trouble if you're busy saving all your pennies up for miniatures. It is the plastic crack. You know what I mean?
it wasn't even a bad deal of a magazine. Like the
Oh, no, the
magazine.
value was pretty good. Like, very good value magazine. I did the Conquest one more recently for I think about half the subscription, but I didn't find it was
Mm,
as good. You know what I mean? But those Lord of the Rings magazines were really good because you got a load of metal characters as well.
mm. I'm sure those guys are like what, tenner or like €8 each. They would have been something like that.
Ah,
Like
yeah, and there was good
single.
tips as well. I remember because my friend had uh, what was it? I think it was like the first magazine or one of the first ones that showed you how to make hedgerows with flock and scouring pads using like
Yeah,
staplers and then gluing it down onto a bit of cardboard, and it looked alright.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? I was like,
No,
this isn't half bad. Like,
and they do it where like they give you how to paint the mini, right? And the first few episodes were actually shit. Like they were like the goblin skin is green, painted green. Like fucking yeah, right. That kind of shit. But they teach you maybe eventually they probably teach you dry brushing or whatever, or they do basic highlighting in this. But they'd give you a terrain project and they'd give you the miniature to paint. You have 2 weeks to do it, and then they give you more shit. And if you stick up with that, you have a fuck ton of terrain and a fuck ton of painted minis. Even if they look kind of shit, they look better in grey. So
well, this is it. Yeah, like if you're playing a game with it, you know what I mean. I think a lot of people forget that most of the time you're looking at miniatures, you're at least 3 or 4 feet away from them. Like if you
mm,
measure from like your waist, uh, diagonally, the height of your waist from the gaming table to your eyes, it's gonna be at least 3 or 4 feet, at least. I think a lot of people forget that, and they sort of
mm,
overemphasize on doing detail on guys. I
yeah,
can understand getting lost in it though. You know what I mean? When you get lost in a paint job, you're enjoying it. Like me
mm,
grots, I put a bit of effort into it. I enjoyed painting them. But even then, I wasn't going too mad on the detail. You know what I mean? Just so you can
yeah,
sort of tell from a
yeah.
distance.
Even your grots, it's a funny one though, because like I in the past I would have been like, because Lord of the Rings would have been the strategy battle game would have been the most minis I've probably ever painted, apart from maybe orcs. But I would have always spent a lot more time on like Aragorn is going to get a lot more time than
Ah,
his
yeah,
fucking
well,
brother.
it's Aragon, yeah, centerpiece.
Yeah,
Like, you know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. So if you have your HQ, you're going to have those. Those are the guys that kind of represent you. We'll say. So you're going to be putting a bit more time into them. But that's it exactly. Once you get into the zone and you're enjoying it, like why not? That's it.
Sure, is that not
Do
the whole point?
it.
Slev Sledidin was saying the Lord of the Rings is true 24, Warhammer Fantasy Battle 40k are heroic 28.
Oh yeah. I've heard
And
the
like,
whole term. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, most of the Citadel sculpts, it's like their hands and their weapons, especially. Because I
Mm,
remember noticing that when I was younger. I'd look at
mm,
scale model tanks or even like Airfix. Maybe there'd be like US Marine Corps troops or something. The weapons where I always thought they were very thin a
Yeah, yeah.
needle like compared to like Games Workshop stuff because the GW stuff is chunkier to be more visual sort of. You know what I mean?
Maybe that was they designed it like that for ease of casting in the
Probably
early
that's
years.
probably yeah, but they did it
Most
intentionally. Like, it's supposed to be.
rugged shooters are quite stumpy, really,
Oh yeah,
and
man.
thick. Yeah.
Like if you were to scale them up to real life, the caliber on them, they'd be like grenade launchers. Like they'd be
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
they'd be ridiculous. But it'd be a laugh. You could see orcs doing that. You know what I mean?
Well, they would if they could. What was I going to say? When you said uh, all the GW models, the 40K and the what would you call it? The
Scale.
fan, yeah, the scale looks odd. I got a flashback of. Do you know the fucking episode of Treehouse of Horrors? The when Homer goes into like this other dimension and he goes to the real world at the end, and he looks so fucking weird. He's like CG
Yeah.
walking down the street. I just imagine like, yeah, if you were to see, even not even an orc, but like a fantasy human from Warhammer in the real world, his scale would be all fucking weird. It'd be like WoW. It'd be like World of Warcraft, where their dimensions are a bit strange to accentuate, like, I don't know,
Oh
their
no, yeah,
head.
the proportions would be totally weird. Like the Space Marines proportions. I think that's part of the reason why they did the Primaris Marines because their
Mm.
Space Marine proportions were all over the shop. Like they were really all over the shop.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're just strange.
They really were. Heroic scale, Steve is saying, heroic scale is designed to look right to the eye rather than to be accurate. Yeah, it's sort
Oh
of it's the
yeah.
visuals of it. The fact that we play with like miniatures. Some things are sculpted out of proportion so that we visually catch it. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Which is it's part of the reason why we paint the way we paint when you're doing highlighting and stuff like that is because you're trying to trick the eye, make something stand out more, over accentuate detail.
mm.
It's the whole point of it. Not that I do much of it myself, to be honest with you, but I understand the theory behind it.
What painting in general is it?
Yeah, I've never been much of a painter,
Mm,
for some reason. Like even when I look back at the handful of minis I have from back when I first started in the hobby, like the first paint set I had, I think I had like 4 or 6 Britannian arches. Sure, I think I only painted 1 or 2 of them fully, and the rest got base coats. I've never been like I've always been more interested in playing the game. I've never been
mm.
super interested in trying to paint, and I think I was always afraid I'd ruin the miniatures. You know what I mean? Pretty
Yeah.
sort of hesitant in that regard.
I
Yeah.
suppose it's funny because like the market changes to suit those kind of needs, isn't it? Like they've created things like the dip method or just washes and now contrast to meet and kind of keep people happy and say, look, all you have to do is base coat the thing, slap wash on it, and you're okay. It's better than nothing. It looks a lot better than grey,
Oh
you
yeah,
know.
definitely. Yeah, yeah. Well, any form of painting looks better than grey. And the only way you can do it worse is if you're literally dipping the miniature into the paint. Um,
Oh, did you see that? Did you see that recently? Was it Goobertown? He had to do a painting challenge, and he had to paint it with his fingers. And I was like, "Fuck! It's just don't do that. Don't even have that as an option." Did you do that, no?
paint with me fingers.
Yeah. So you know Goobertown hobbies,
Oh, I know Gilbertown. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good channel.
and,
Good channel. I
and he
like
has
his I like his stuff that he goes into, especially about like because he's like what is he? Some form of chemical scientist, engineer dude or something. I don't know the
yeah,
terminology,
yeah.
but I find that stuff interesting.
He has this like painting challenge thing, and he has a big box of I think they're all pewter minis in little brown bags, and he mixes them all up, and he rolls different dice and that to choose basically color scheme and theme and painting method or challenge, something like that. I think that's all. And he had to do one, and he rolled finger painting, and I was like, "Feck's sake!" Like that's just, it's just now it could have looked worse, but it's kind of I think it was kind of a waste. But sure, look, he could
He's
have
having
re-rolled.
a bit of banter with it. You know what I mean? Sure, why not?
It is a challenge, like
Finger painting wouldn't be my first option, but sure, if that's the way the dice roll, that's the way to roll. And if he's being a good sport and rolling with it, more, fair play to him.
No, it's really cool. And he's done videos where featuring a lot of 3D printed models and that kind of thing. And I think the other night I was rewatching one of your hangouts where you're kind of starting on your war boss from Gear Guts, and I was like, man, I've never actually had 3D printed models like the resin ones. I have filament ones that my brother printed that honestly they look a bit they look a bit wank.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Up close when I look at these, you're not gonna be able to see them, but if you can imagine really crappy looking guardsmen.
No, this is the first resin miniature that I got my
Mhm.
hands on, and I was surprised myself at the level of detail and how it came out. I was like, "Yep, that's a miniature." You know what I mean?
God, they're crazy, like they're so good.
But the FDM printers I can understand. Um, I wouldn't be too enamored. Like I
Mm,
have one of those printers myself. I just haven't got the space to have it up and running at the moment.
mm.
Which is a bit of a waste. But sure, procrastination. You know, me and procrastination are good friends at this point.
There's too many things, too many interests. Wouldn't it be better
Yeah,
off if it was like back in the day where it's just like, you work out in the fields all day or whatever. You come home and what do you do? Have your dinner, sit around the fire. One guy's into like singing, one guy's into storytelling, one guy's into like whittling some wood, and that's kind of what you do. There's not too many options. There's too much going on, I think nowadays. Too many options.
oversaturation of what we could be doing.
Yeah, between, everything. Games, models. There's always something cool and new that moves you on from the last project, like we were saying earlier, where you don't finish it. If you're stuck and you have nothing else, you're gonna be like, man, I'm gonna paint the shit out of these orcs. Like these are gonna be the best dang orcs because that's all I have to paint, you know?
Yeah, I think that sort of does speak volumes in that regard. Even when you were younger and you only
Mm,
had like maybe you could only afford one unit or something. You know
yeah.
what I mean? You made the most of it because that's all you had. Like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you're like, oh,
Like every single spare part in that orc regiment that I got in Toy Master was stuck onto something. If it a bit of sprue, that was his chest, and then he's got arms, and then you made sprue legs. You know, that's something. That's another guy. I'd always have my little brother coming over to me and going like, "Oh, I want to make a guy. I want to make a guy," which basically means look in the bits box and throw something together. Put some poly cement on it and see what happens.
see
And
where it goes from there.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be cool. Like, but yeah,
yeah.
that's a funny one. My brothers never really got back into it. Like my one of my younger brothers, he's really into the lore, and he know a lot about more about the lore than me, just in general, just between YouTube and audiobooks. And then the younger brothers, he's not really into it at the moment, and more into women, I think. So he has to get past that stage.
Ah, he'll grow through it eventually.
Yeah. I'm just
Think
ending up
to
chopping all these heads off, all these skulls from these resin skulls. I'm not actually sure what company they're from. I can't remember. Oh, Green Stuff World, I'm pretty sure. These orc skulls.
you doing a close up? Hold on.
It seems to be the
Oh,
simplest thing I can do at the moment.
so you
Uh,
bought some green stuff oil skulls, did you? They
yeah,
look
I got
decent,
an
yeah.
order from Green Stuff World there a while ago, just because I wanted a decent amount of plastic art just for converting and all. But they're pretty cool. They've got different sizes and stuff. I don't really know what to use them for, but I don't know if it makes sense in the lore for orcs. They must have skeletons, but their skeletons must be made of something like a plant, like flora, right? Because there's spores and all, mushrooms. So does it not biodegrade quickly? I don't know. Maybe that's a bit. That's,
No, I'd say they have skulls and skeletons. I think the whole fungus aspect of them has a lot to do with that lower part has a lot to do with how they're resilient and how they procreate. So the whole sporing, and the fact that you could cut parts of them off, cut their limbs off, and stitch them back on again, but they
Mm.
still have like skeletons and the like. But sure, and if it didn't stick around, I suppose the best evidence you have for it is they wouldn't use their teeth as a currency.
Yes, yes, true.
You get me? Because it would just,
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You think you were minted, and then it would just
yeah,
disappear.
that's
Maybe,
true.
maybe. Spray some fungicide on them, see what happens.
Well, that's it. Like you kind of want it to be explained, but then you don't at the same time because
You don't want it demystified. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you want it 100%. You know.
Yeah, I was talking to Steve on not too long ago. We were giving out about some of the Star Wars stuff, um, especially like with Han Solo. You were
Mm.
always told about how he won like the Millennium Falcon in a card game,
Mm.
and then to be shown it, and it's like, no matter how good that could be shot or shown, it won't be as
Yeah,
good as your imagination. You know what I mean?
yeah. Because you just imagine it as one of many adventures he had. I don't know, and then they actually go and show it, and like you were saying, it's better not shown. It's just better as
Well,
just
yeah, it's you're sort of doomed for failure. It's like some of those. You ever see like some really good horror films or something like the first Alien film? You don't really see much of the alien till near the end. You know what I mean? Because your mind creates, our imagination like
yeah, yeah. Like
is
what
going to
could it
be
be?
better than any production that's created. Like especially back in the day, and the same with Jaws.
Mm.
You know what I mean? You didn't see much of the shark until the end of the film. Those sort of.
Do you know what would be interesting, right? With Jaws and Alien, if they had trailers of those movies, would they have featured any even glimpse of Jaws or the Alien, or was it completely left, you know, to your imagination? Because nowadays they'd blow their load on the fucking trailer.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
I'm not,
You pretty much nearly see the whole film in the trailer
yeah,
with a lot of
I just,
films these days.
yeah,
Um, I think it just depends. Like you know what I mean? Because from what little I know about the film industry, the trailers are made. They're not done by like the directors. They're
mm,
done by someone different, and they just take whatever parts they want to try and obviously get people to go to the cinema.
mm.
You know?
It must be killer though being the director, right? And then somehow you hit it big and you're just like, oh, they're after buying me script or whatever it is. Or you're the writer, you get the director in, buying the script and everything, you get the producers, and then they tear the thing to shit and they're like, put in more of this, take out some of this, make it longer, make it shorter, cut this. We're doing the trailer. And you're just like, then you have to go to an award show or you have to go to a premiere. Say, yeah, this is my movie's class. You know, the writer beside you on the red carpet going like, yeah, I wrote this. This is great. I can't wait for you all to see it, blah blah. And it's just
It's
not
not.
what
It turns
not
into
what
something totally different.
yeah, I'm just like, that's just shit, man. Like it's a weird one. I know it depends on the production and it's different for
Yeah, it's all about the
the
individual
sport.
and the creative integrity, whether they're willing to compromise their vision on something for commercial success. That's a question a lot of people who go into the industry have to ask themselves.
Yeah, to make
You
it
know?
big at all, or yeah. And then, what was I going to say as well? God, I'm actually brain farting. But yeah, that's just a weird one to think about because then I suppose it brings me back to Lord of the Rings and loving the movies, and then the Hobbits being just I watched them just because it's kind of the same universe and continuation and all connected, and it just seemed I felt bad for Peter Jackson in the end because it didn't seem like he even had a chance to do the best he could on those movies, from what I've heard about it.
I don't know, like I didn't bother watching all the Hobbit films. You know what I mean? Now I love the Lord of the Rings films. Um, we sit down and I'll watch even like the director's cut of
Mm,
them. You know what I mean? Love them. I've, I always thought they were pretty good.
mm. I think the last as well, like not that the CG or anything is timeless. Like obviously, it doesn't. Some of it doesn't look
Yeah,
great,
some of those cave trolls look a bit squiff now. They do. Yeah, yeah.
but I think the last the distance. But yeah, the Hobbits. You know, you're not really missing out on much, honestly.
I think I've seen like the first Hobbit film, and then I've seen bits of the other ones. You know what I mean? I haven't sit down and watched all of them the whole way through.
Yeah, no, it just won't be the same. It won't be the
So which
same.
which which one of the films is your favorite? Like, do you like the most? For me, it's the Two Towers. I think it's like the Battle of Helm's Deep is just. I it's just yeah. I really love the Battle of Helm's Deep. That
Yeah,
it's gritty, raining all the time.
yeah, yeah.
They didn't go too overboard with the CGI. There is some, but it's not all just CGI. Do you know what I mean? The giant pitch battles. I
Yeah,
like.
yeah, I appreciate as well how they kept it kind of weighty and real. Apart from when it came to elves, things seem to have weight. You know, when you see lads running around with armor, the sound is right. They look heavy. They look like big. You know, Urukai look heavy and strong. They don't look overly heavy and strong. They don't look like Warcraft movie orc strong. You know, they're realistically like low fantasy, I'd call it, if you get me.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, yeah. I
And
understand what you mean. Yeah.
yeah, it's not like, 10-foot orc. It's, this guy's 6'5" berserker kind of, it makes sense in the world and it's not completely crazy. Which I think made it more relatable in a way that you can be the kid or the old man on Helm's Deep, on the deepening wall in the rain, you know.
You could sort of project yourself into it because you could. Yeah, you could see
Oh,
that world being real.
I think that was very smart that they did that they featured that. Was it the kid that was running from the village when the Wildmen and the Urukai were raiding
Yeah.
Rohan, and he ran and with his sister, and then he got to fucking Théoden's house, and he left him fighting Helm's Deep with a sword and armor. Was that the same kid? It
Yeah,
was, wasn't
yeah.
it?
He was in Helm's Deep fighting as well.
Yeah, yeah, cool. So that's. I think it's really smart that they did that because that puts their target audience probably ish. Geez, obviously their target audience was anybody that buy a cinema ticket because it did so well. But uh, that kind of age group, I don't know. Yeah, you can relate to it on the wall. I think it was really cool. I think it really worked.
Be good, man. Even now, it's still my favorite. I like. I think like the Return of the Thing is all right, but I just didn't like the pitch battles. They just didn't do it for me. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Near the end, the big massive battles.
Lad, the fucking charge of the Rohillion, like fucking mental. That's just cinema right there. Like I thought that was just magic.
Oh no, there's some really good parts to it, but like if I was to pick my favorite, I think the Two Towers hands down wins it.
Mm.
I think like the Helm's Deep battle, and then when they're fighting the Balrog and Moria in the Fellowship, I think are my favorite parts of the films.
Mm. No, they're really good. I really like them. And
We have Roxy off doing her quotes now. She's like, "Yeah, gas. What about their legs? They don't need those."
dude, what is
Oh,
about orcs and British accents? Like, is this a thing that's just written in law? What the fuck? Like, they always have dirty British accents.
I don't know, man. I don't
Like,
know.
like they're not. I don't know if obviously maybe not dirty is the right word, but they're. I don't know. It's where even in England that would be, but they're not. Posh like Queen accents, obviously.
Could you imagine they were?
It's like strange, I think.
How to do? I'd to loot this vehicle if you don't mind, good sir.
Mm.
Oh man, it'd be gas.
They've been that way in every game as well, haven't they? Even have they? Did they have British accents in Dawn of War?
Yeah, I think yeah they did. They get British voice actors to do it to do
Like
the
it
orcs.
doesn't bother me at all. I think it's a funny choice.
That's you know what. Now that you brought it up to me, it's the first time I've come to that sort of realization that it's always a British sort of voice.
To be honest, should they even speak English? Like,
Orcs.
yeah, speak English.
Well, in 40k, it's like it's common tongue. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Well, it depends, like because they've sort of veered away. When I was doing a video earlier with the rest of the war bosses, and we were talking about lore, and they sort of veered away. Like they did have their, they still like their glyphs actually mean something. They have their own language and glyphs,
all true.
and there is Orcish, like. But generally, when they're talking, especially in the video games, when any representation you see of them, they're speaking in English, which is low Gothic in the 40k universe.
Yeah,
You know.
I suppose for ease of watching and playing, yeah, it makes sense. Because otherwise, Space Marines be going around talking some fancy fucking Latin shit or something, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Odd high Gothic or whatever, or Bineric cants or whatever it is. If they're Mechanicus lads.
Space Marines be awful pricks in real life, wouldn't they? They just be,
Ah, yeah, I'd say so.
they'd be no crack
No banter out
at
them.
all. No
Would you
fucking
like
crack.
a point? Ah, sure. I metabolize it. Oh, used to me.
Is it like Superman or something, aren't they? Like Superman, I don't know, he can't get drunk. What's it, Superman? I don't know,
Wouldn't be
someone like
surprised. That'd be
that. He's like,
boring
no,
as hell, though, man. But I think like the Space Wolves, because I used to collect Space Wolves. They were the Force 40k army I had, because my
hmm,
grandparents bought them for me. They just bought me like a Space Wolves codex and a Blood Claws set. I
it's
think
class.
I think in the lore they're supposed to yeah, they're supposed to brew some serious stuff like to get Space Marines to get them drunk. So
That's a fucking campaign right there. That's like a 40k Bugsman, isn't it? Where it's like the orcs are trying to steal the brew off fucking
it's the
the
Space Wolves homebrew.
yeah, man.
You can do some
Yeah,
decent objectives there. That's it. Defend the mead halls against the space orc invaders or something. Space pirates coming to pillage. Have a bit
that'd
of
be cool.
laugh.
I
And
did
then,
see recently enough when I was doing some research on, I don't know, just different ways of doing a new kind of orc clan. Like, I wanted to kind of restart, and I didn't want to collect anything else, but I wanted to have something I could customize the shit out of. And there was these, I don't know who did it now, but it was on DACA, and someone had done 40k orcs, but they were drinking grog or whatever they call it, like fungus brew,
yeah.
and the models were just puking and drinking two fucking bottles of like the fucking helmet with the two cans on it and everything. His war boss or something. It was just class, and it was really simply done, but it looked great now. To be honest,
Orc stuff was asking
um,
were my space wolves pre-painted. No, they weren't pre-painted. I actually used to
for
paint.
anything for you.
I used to actually paint. I think yeah, out of me 40k stuff, me space wolves are. I used to paint quite a lot of them because it was easy enough. I think. Um,
Great.
Well, yeah, with the Space Wolves, I used to find it pretty easy because, like, the power armor generally was all one color. You had one shoulder, one color, another shoulder, another. You know what I mean? You do the little bits in between their armor black, and then do a bit of a dry brush of metal, and then did their bulk one, and you know maybe a
Yeah,
bit of red on the helmets, the eyes of the helmets, and that's it. Like they're done. You know what I mean?
I painted I painted my little brother's ones all right, and yeah, they're grand. Like I didn't do a mad job on them, but basically exactly what you said there. Getting tabletop, you know.
Yeah, they look good. Like get enough of them together, they looked good. But it
Do you
was
know what if they went a bit mental with them, they could have some kind of longboat airship. That'd be sick. Like, oh, even just what's it? The front of it called the keel? Is it called a keel? And it'd be like an airship. That'd be sick. That'd be cool.
for which the Space Wolves. I'm sure give
Yeah,
them time.
that'd be cool.
Kobe is
I mean,
saying that's the whole reason I've gotten into Blood Angels. So easy to paint for a newbie. Yeah, yeah. Space Marines. I can see like getting into Space Marines. If you're
mm,
really crafty, you'd get into Space Marines and paint them a metal color or black. Do you remember Black Templars being everywhere back in the day? Everyone and their cousin had Black Templars. The
that's
best army ever to paint. Spray it
yeah.
black, edge highlights. if even. Pick out details and metal you want. Boom, done.
That's it. They have some pretty cool models as well, actually.
They did, man. I think it was a. I think it was a case of. Do you ever see like whatever Space Marine chapter is in the box? It tends to be the chapter that you see a lot of.
Mm.
I think back in the third edition day, it was the Black Templars. It used to be everywhere, man.
It makes sense, yeah. Like as you were saying, as a beginner type thing.
Oh yeah.
It's confidence building as well, isn't it? You get something on the table, you get a unit done, you're like, okay, cool. You can always come back to them, you know.
Well, this is it.
One
Yeah, you can always come back once you've got base coats done
thing
and do
I've
edge
always
highlights or more advanced stuff.
yeah, or whatever you want to do to bring him to the next level. What was the thing I was going to say? Yeah, I've always hated uh, chipping models. I don't know why. Maybe I used them to, varnish my metal guys I get for Lord of the Rings, and they chip, and it just pissed me off. Chipping models is just the worst thing, and it made me not like pewter models. Now I have some that I'm even working on now, like all from different companies, but chipping models is just sickening. Like if I was to go back through my old collection of Lord of the Rings minis, like I just don't want that because I know Argon's face is going to have to like chip off.
It's been chipped to hell and back.
I just and it's my own fault, obviously, but sure, look,
Orc
it's just
stuff was asking if they came in grey plastic. They did come in grey plastic, just the wrong shade of grey.
yeah,
I remember me mate years ago. I used to do the Steel Legion, and the color I think it was like Fortress Grey or something like that.
mm-hmm.
It was pretty much like he'd spray it black, then he painted this grey color, and it pretty much looked like it was still uh like the shade of grey was close to when you cut it off with a sprue. I was,
That
I
is
was, I was like, what? Why would you do that to yourself?
that's
Uh,
class actually.
I used to think that was gas, man.
I
Doesn't look
spent hours.
painted.
Yeah, yeah.
Spent hours painting it grey. I used to think it was so funny.
But is the scene, or I suppose was the scene, pretty decent for gaming in general in Dublin?
Yeah, there's a few different gaming groups. I was going to before Papa Nergal decided to gift us with the plague. I was going
Mm,
to a pub um up on Vicar Street or on Thomas Street, sorry, called Thomas House. Where the guy who runs the pub, he was a gamer himself, so he was doing like I think it was like a Wednesday night gaming in the basement that he used
mm,
as function room. And you literally go there. There was free tables and scenery. So yourself,
class.
you'd buy, get a few drinks. Because I used to drive in myself. So obviously not having a point with the drink and being responsible. Don't drink and drive, folks. You know yourself. But you'd go out of your way to spend a few quid. You'd spend a few quid on. You'd end up spending a tenner on crisps and
Bacon
coke.
snacks.
Yeah,
The
yeah, bacon
objectives are
snacks or
like
whatever.
bacon snacks. Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, you'd end up spending a few quid on that type of stuff because you go out of your way. If someone's not charging you for tables and they're facilitating for you in the
No, that's
terrain,
great,
it's
yeah.
like throw a few quid at the place. You know what I mean?
Real, actually, I love that. That's a perfect combination.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Sort of relax. But that was the last thing I was doing. I played against Necrons. I think was it the first time? I think it was the first time I played just against Necrons. I played against
Mm,
Necrons in like a 4-player game before. But yeah, it was I was playing against one of the lads. We played 8-8. Had a bit of a laugh. Yeah, it was a good crack. It was a good crack, so it was.
dude,
Um,
like Necrons are like no offense to Necron players, but like they've got to be the least creative army, in my opinion. I could be wrong. Like, how do you convert Necrons? Can you? I've I've just not seen any crazy ones. Like, how does it? Do they have personalities? Like, what? How does it work? I
yeah,
think are
yeah.
they?
See, they've changed a lot compared to the old lore. So they're sort of got like these weird aristocratic characters now. So you could do some like crazy conversions in that regard, and then you have like your
All right.
Satan shards or your Catan or whatever way you want to pronounce it. And I've seen people do
Yeah.
some really nice conversions of them and scratch building them because they're like supposed to be shards of a god trapped in metallic bodies. They could really take whatever form you want. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
depending
That's
on
about it. Yeah.
on what part, what bits and pieces you want to do, and then there's like the flayed ones which wear like the skin of their enemies because they've gone a bit bonkers over time. You know
That would
yourself, it's a
actually
yeah,
fade ones would be fun. Like, yeah.
be class. Especially like I like the idea of just instead of buying flayed ones, like just getting normal warriors and converting them yourselves, that type of thing.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about fade ones actually.
Well, this is it. I think any army you could have um, great conversion potential if
Mm,
you go for a theme starting off. So like I'm
mm.
sure you could have even great fun with the likes of Tau if you decided to make them like Tau space pirates or something, you know.
Yeah, I had Tau now at one point. They were my first proper army. I think like I got a battle force for Christmas, and then this was ages ago. Then again, and I ended up selling them. But they were painted horrid. They were just like war flashback. Like they were just shit. And I think I had more fun painting the crews.
Oh, I used
Uh,
to like the crew. I think I got the same battle force for Christmas where it was like you got some jumpsuits, you got some crew, and you got like some drones and stuff, didn't you? And I think a few fire warriors as
yeah,
well.
it's probably like the 80 quid one,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah, the 80 quid battle. Oh, I missed those boxes, man. They were decent.
And I think I really don't like what the fuck, painting like rigid shapes and stuff. I don't like Space Marines and vehicles, even Tau. They just don't appeal to me
The
for painting.
armor, is it? You're not a fan
Yeah,
of painting armor?
yeah. Like even things like Killicans. Like, where's this fucking this guy? This guy I painted ages ago, right? I'm only after finding my old works. I don't know if you do a zoom in for a second there, and I'll show
Yeah,
you.
got the zoom up there. Got the mush on the cam.
Like, he's a lot of fun to put together. Like, he obviously springs along. He looks a bit like fucking Ratchet and Clank, and he's got his jaw here. But he's a Killican. But I just don't like painting armor. Like with orcs, yeah, you can get away with it because he's uh he's chipped and everything. But I don't know. I just prefer organic stuff. You can kind of, I don't know, work around it a bit more or something.
What do you find it like freer maybe or
Yeah, maybe that's the correct term to use. Would probably be the best. Yeah.
maybe you just haven't found like a methodology for like painting armor that you're comfortable with at the moment. You know, maybe you need to experiment a
Maybe.
bit more.
But because you can get away with it. Like if you had everybody's going to have different like freaking freckles or skin,
Yeah.
um, tones and everything. Like even with these orcs, these blue orcs, and I don't mind having it where like this guy has kind of a pink, purpley pink on his face, and I'm not really sure if I'm going to have it as war paint or as that's just the color of their face. But I could do another one where he has little dots, or just to change it because it's the same basic color, but they're going to be slightly different because they're different orcs. You know what I mean? They're not going to be the exact same shade of green, the exact same shade of highlights and everything. Also, because I've forgotten what blues and everything I used on this guy, but that doesn't matter. But
Yeah, but you can get away with it with orcs though, you know what I
hmm,
mean? You can get away with that sort of thing with orcs. There's going to be a lot of variation. That's another thing. Like some people when they're painting their orcs, they do like seven, eight, nine different types of green skin color. Other people like
hmm,
me will find something that they got comfortable with and just sort of paint the whole army in it. That's if you're gonna do an army. Other folk just like bashing stuff to get like I've heard people who just like build like one orc miniature and they'll
hmm,
just have a laugh with it. You know what I mean? And
oh,
enjoy
totally.
the freedom of the conversion and the painting of the miniature, and not be too worried about whether it's legal in the game or not. Um,
Yeah, that's the thing because between obviously putting the time and putting the money into the miniatures themselves. It's like, obviously, if I'm getting a lot of enjoyment out of making them and they're finished, that's really cool, and I like that. That's all I want. But in a perfect world, I would be able to play them in a game at some point if I ever was to be in that situation, like they are on 25 mils.
Ah, here, look, all mine are on 25s. I don't, it's not the end of the world to me.
Mm.
Just have to find like-minded individuals. Like, if someone gave me shtick because me orcs were on 25 mil bases, I'd be like, listen, bud, I've been on 25 mil bases for God knows how bleeding long. I'm not changing. Get out of it. You know, I'm not.
Yeah,
Like, if I was in a tournament, that would be a different matter, but I can't see myself going to a tournament with me orc boys. Not anytime soon, anyway. If I did decide to do it, then I'd worry about being put them on 32s or whatever. But
mm. And it's funny as well, if they were to make, if if everybody's kind of calling, or a lot of people are calling out for potentially making orcs more serious or better or competitive. I don't know how they play, honestly, but if they got up to the standard of Space Marines and it was competitive, or everything was more sided towards orcs for 2 3 years, and everybody in tournaments was running orcs, the orcs players would be like, "Why the fuck is everybody playing orcs? Fuck off to go back playing Space Marine."
I'll jump it on the power gaming bandwagon. Yeah, that happens a lot.
Like they
Ah,
actually probably would. It's funny, like.
yeah. What was Slev saying? He switched to 20 mils as it was easier than switching new models to 25s to be consistent. Yeah, no, we can understand people wanting to switch to 32s themselves, or if you're starting off collecting orcs now, I think you're going to be running on 32s anyway because the box sets come with them. And yeah, like each to their own, but most of my orc collection, or nearly all of them, I think I started putting knobs on 32 mil bases because I liked that they sort of stand out a bit more. So I was
Mm,
starting to put all my knobs on the 32s. I liked the look of it because it was the a size between like the war boss and the boys. I liked that.
yeah, it's kind
Um,
of size, yeah.
yeah, just visually it made sense to me. The knobs stick out a bit more, and then I was using. I know, yeah, Jesus. Hopefully not in public, huh?
Dogfish, aren't they? Why
That's what she
let's call them
said.
knobs. I know, mates. Let's call them knobs. Ho ho ho.
Well, yeah, it's an abbreviation in noble. That's
I
that's
know,
the
yeah.
thing, like, but it's also a piss take. Like, I missed that as well when Games Workshop didn't used to take themselves so seriously. You know what I mean? They do stuff
Yeah.
like call their orc leaders knobs. I'm sure the boys do when their backs are turned. A bit of
Yeah.
banter. Have a laugh with it. Watch out, the knob sticking out. Exactly.
There's a what was the other one that on one of my videos recently I was converting these ogres from Blood Bowl and a Blood Bowl team into these big kind of chunky knob. I don't know, maybe they'll be mega armors. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've seen a few. I think Spud did some conversions like that as well.
Yeah, there's some really good options coming out for them recently from Warhammer or GW in general, just different size ones. But basically, like I mentioned it in my video. Do orcs have nipples, right? Because these guys have nipples. You know, like this guy. I'm trying to figure it out. This guy's got a squig biting on his nipple to basically block the nipple to censor his nipple, right? But then he's also got a nice move there. So what the fuck do I do there? I think I was given a suggestion of a squig bikini, but that's kind of I don't have to make bikinis for all my own. It makes them a little bit less tough looking.
Oh, you're putting an awful lot of thought into a very small detail there, but
This is the thing, you have to figure out these. I could just put a little armor patch or something. I don't know.
give him a flak jacket or something, or a scrap of armor that just sort of hangs down if you want. I put up the link for the Discord there, folks. If you're doing any work in progress during the hobby hangout, we'll have a look near the end, probably in about 15 minutes. We'll have a gander. So if you're doing any work in progress and you want to share, you don't have to. But if you want to share, and we'll have a gander and see what people got going during the hobby hangout.
Yeah, there's some good comments in the chat there that I was looking at.
Yeah,
Um,
if you see something you want to reply to, feel
the
free.
Necron bits. Um, oh obviously Necron bits are great for looting, so that's one use for them.
Oh yeah, like lots of the gun parts as well. The skulls look really good on a banner pole. They always
Mm,
do. Or even like bionic bits, they could be good for bionic arms and bits.
yeah, totally. Actually, yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna try and paint some of the tokens here for this Blood Bowl team. There. I know I'm being very boring, folks, and I'm only doing priming, but I haven't decided on the skin tones for these guys. I started painting up some of the Blood Bowl team using just getting the base coat colors. So these are the black orcs, and then the standard orcs. I'm using different. I'm using different shades. I'm using a slightly darker shade, and I started to use
Mm,
the Vallejo game extra opaque colors. So they've got like
that looks good.
extra good pigment in them. I like them. I like them. They're really good. Dim was telling me about them, and
So
I
they're
was
just
like,
kind of
all right.
one coat solid base
Hmm.
coat.
Nice solid base color. So I gave them a bash. That's these guys, heavy green and heavy black green for the black orcs.
I need to get some of those. They're really cool, like poses and shit, just for
They
conversions.
they are they're great. I think for a Blood Bowl team, but you don't want to have too many of them because like when you're playing Blood Bowl, it wouldn't bother me too much because you get a lot of the same pose. They're all sort of mono pose builds, but like if you got a hacksaw to them and you
Mm,
know what I mean, I could see them being problematic for someone who wasn't experienced on conversions, trying to convert them up.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, they're grand. You know what I mean? They're grand for me. I'll just do the team up for Blood Bowl. I don't have too much of a problem, but I know some people hate having the same pose more than once. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wouldn't be a fan of it, but
Yeah,
yeah,
most of the time I wouldn't, but like it's a Blood Bowl team, so they're in my eyes they're pretty much like chess pieces. They're glorified chess pieces more so than in the standard games of 40k. Yeah.
would you name all your players?
Oh yeah, on the team, yeah, I'd name them. I'd probably like dig out an old name generator from like
Yeah, yeah,
the Rogue Trader books or something. You know what I mean? And then I'd name them.
that'd be class.
Like because I've played what have I played before? I played Gorka Morka before and sit down and give them names on their bases and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
You'd have a
And you
laugh with
still
it.
have, if you when you played Gorkamorka, do you still have your mob, Gorkamorka mob somewhere that if someone was like, okay, let's throw down Gorkamorka, you'd be like, right, I have it right here in this little case.
I think I stripped the miniatures and
Oh,
I think so. I think I
that,
stripped them down. Those guys, I wasn't too happy with the paint job. I do have my old Necromunda mob still knocking around.
that
It was
cool, cool.
an Orlok gang, and I made them from Katachan Jungle Fighters.
Mm.
I
The
made them
fucking,
from yeah. The ones I tried to get as many of them with the bandanas and even the heavy weapon. I think the heavy weapon was the old heavy bolters, the little two. They had a little wheels, the little heavy weapons platforms.
it's so silly.
Yeah. So I think I had that, and I wanted to do the heavy for the mob. So I got that, and I put a heavy stubber off of like the Bane blade,
Mm.
and I mounted it with a on top of I think it's like the Hunter Killer missile. There's like a little rail that it sits on for
I know exactly the bit you're talking about.
the Imperial Guard tanks. And yeah, I did a heavy stubber conversion. I thought it was really cool. And then I did the same guy, the same sort of pose. I built it, yeah, out of a plastic kit. I built the same guy again, painted him exactly the same.
Mm.
For when his heavy stubber goes arseways, you know what I mean? So I'd
Yeah,
like
cool.
he'd abandon it or whatever.
See, that's pretty appealing because obviously with Necromunda, what's the max amount of lads you can have in a mob?
It wasn't I think there was like 9 of them or something like that. There
Oh, man.
wasn't loads of them.
But like even that, you can really, really put your time into conversions and paint jobs then. And I think it even adds an extra level to, right, this guy is called Zogger and this guy's called
I think he was called
Baltimore.
Big Joe, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Big Joe had the heavy stubber, like, you know what I
That's
mean,
that is his daily.
or something. Yeah,
Big
yeah.
Joe, heavy stubber, yeah.
Uh,
I can picture it now, yeah.
Big Joe with the heavy stubber. You know,
Big,
the big lad,
big.
a big lad.
But that's it, like you that's I don't
But
know.
yeah, you'd give him a bit of character, like you were saying.
Mm, I value that more than
And then they'll have their little stories. I think that's the half the fun of doing like campaign games like Goyle Comorca or Necromunda or any of the newer ones that Games Workshop are doing is each guy has like a story as you go along. You know, like
mm,
I'm playing a BattleTech campaign with
mm,
me with one of my mates, and that's what I've been enjoying about it is the unit, the story of the unit. Sort of, I haven't put pilots into me. I haven't named me pilots yet, but I need to because
yeah, yeah.
already funny shit's happened. Like one of them's fallen over and landed on his ammo rack and blown himself up, and it's like you're a gobshite. Like, you know what I mean? You
And
want to be.
would you consider, bringing back Big Joe in your heavy mech, in your heaviest Gundam, basically, and
Oh yeah,
having him
we could yeah, Big Joe could be brought
Big Joe, yeah,
over as like
so sick.
a heavy assault mech. We might do that. That's not a bad idea there, Heather.
A
We'll
bigger gun.
bit of
That'd be awesome.
inspiration. Big Joe with the big guns.
He's
Take
back.
the guns out, ba boom.
That's it. That's it.
Orc
Yeah.
stuff is saying bit of conversion work and Millie put on those Blood Bowl figures make ace knobs. Oh, knobs definitely. Yeah, they look good. Do you know what I've seen people do with these Blood Bowl orcs? I've seen people make really good commandos out of them.
Oh,
Like
a lot of dynamic poses and shit. Yeah.
yeah. They put like pouches on them and stuff, and they chop
Mm.
arms and move stuff about. Like I've seen some really good stuff, and then head swaps. The only thing I'm not too enamored with is I think the heads on these sculpts are smaller.
That's a strange choice, isn't it?
I think that's the visual that Games Workshop's going for with these guys now is they're making their heads smaller to sort of make the rest of their body seem bigger. You know
Did
what
you
I mean?
see the newer ones, the fucking big chunky boys, like
Uh,
chunky as in they're
Gazgul.
no, no,
You
they're Blood Bowl as well, and they're
oh the yeah the yeah that's the same sort of aesthetic. The black orcs and
yeah,
whatever else. I've seen the preview for that Blood Bowl box set and I'm really tempted. Me and Dim were talking about it beforehand today, and we were wondering if it was going to be a limited release because there's like 2 referees in it. There's like an ogre for the human team, there's a troll for
yeah.
the orc team, and then there's like a Varag Ghoul Chewer, and then there's I think it's Griff Oberwald, is it? One of the other special characters for the humans. So there's a lot of like special characters. So we think it might be like a limited release box set. We think
Mm.
it sort of has the makings of a limited sort of box set, but we'll see what happens.
I haven't actually seen that one, but yeah, that's funny that they kind of include so much extra bits and bobs. And are they basically side characters or like how does it work?
Star players, yeah, you
But
start.
like off the pitch, basically, like, do you have to make a ref character, like a ref
Oh yeah,
bot? Or,
you can make you don't have to, but like
mm,
Blood Bowl's like that. You know what I mean? You can go to town with it. The referees like you can have mage wizards and stuff like that. You don't have to, but it's always nice. I think
mm,
like one of the best tables I ever saw in Warhammer World when I was going there was the old school Blood Bowl stadium pitch that they had, and it looked mint, me. It
I
really
might have
did.
seen that in the White Dwarf actually. I might have seen that ages ago. I think I did.
Looked
Just
mint.
like the whole pitch and everything with the lines on it and this.
Yeah. The whole shebang. That was a really nice one. And then they used to have the is it Minas Tirith? Yeah.
To scale.
The no, it's not the scale, but it was. built like it was a big old table. Like it was about fucking I don't know. Like it was tall. You know what I mean? It was like 8 or 10 foot tall table. Like
Yeah.
it's really tall. Like it was good though. It was really good.
Oh,
But I
they were
think
saying there's optional rules for like pitches and balls and refs and all. Yeah,
this is it. But like
squid ball.
making your own pitch, I think would be good crack. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
dude, like,
the bleachers can't be that hard. You'd make them out of lollipop sticks or coffee stirrers or something like
oh,
that. You know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it'd be a piece of piss. I think, yeah, that look, it'd be a pretty easy store. Like, what's the play area for a pitch in Blood Bowl? Is it like,
Oh, it's about the size of a board game. Like it's not massive.
oh, that's pretty cool.
You know what I mean? It's not massive, massive. And then you could, if you were smart about it, I suppose, if I was going about it, I'd do like the bleachers separate, and then you'd do like the pitch. Maybe you could even have like you could get some of that static grass rollout mats, and then just
Mm.
paint on the lines, and then you could roll up the mat and just take the bleachers off as separate pieces, like and the dugouts.
I
If you
had
were,
one of those when I was a kid, and it was actually wank. Now, I don't know if I did it wrong or what, but it wasn't. I probably didn't keep it right, and I didn't seal it or anything. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's probably that's probably a good way of doing it. But yeah, once you seal it, and you're not a fucking stupid kid. But
the things you learn over the years, you know,
yeah,
pick up the tricks. If only we knew then what we know now, eh?
I know. Yeah, no, totally.
Always the way. But yeah, if you were worried about storage, that's probably the way I'd go about it.
The fucking what was the one you were talking about? Yeah, Gorka Morka, man. The only real campaign of that I ever actually like followed was when Mini Wargaming did the campaign in their studio.
Yeah.
And I know they did two, but the last one they actually released for free, or I watched it anyway for free. I didn't like sub to their vault or anything. And you know, whatever. Some of the guys in Mini Wargaming, they're like, I find it some of them are kind of hard to watch, but most of them are fine. And I don't know. I just thought it was great the way they kind of kept it going, and they had obviously had their customizing their vehicles there, had their knobs and everything were getting upgraded and their different weapon selections, and then they had the big mad race at the end. It's just like, it was it was just last like,
But you get
it's a,
invested though. That's because you'll be like, maybe even when you're watching it, you're seeing one of the mobs that you'll like, and you'll see what happens to their characters and how things develop. Maybe the knob will get challenged for the leadership of the mob, and
mm,
what an upstart youth or something like that, and
yeah, yeah,
like you'll make your own unique story as you go through. And with those type of games, it's like you're never gonna have the same two types of campaigns.
mm, mm,
You know, you might build two mobs exactly the same, but then the outcomes will be so divergent because of the various possibilities. And it's just, that's why I like BattleTech. Playing BattleTech
mm.
is we can have the same mix and play the same scenario, but the game could be totally different.
And what scale is it? Like, are the mechs themselves, you know, how big are they? Like 32 mil or
The mechs themselves are, they're about the size of, yeah, they're about the size of like, no, hold on, I've one in a jar of Dettol that's, well, by the way, for anyone who's trying to strip miniatures, don't bother with the purple Dettol. It does bleeding nothing, absolutely nothing. I'm horrified. I mean, it smells better than the original, but it does nothing when it comes to stripping plastic miniatures.
yeah, they have some kind of like uh specific chemical in them. I saw on Instagram the other day, I got an ad for it that I think it was Green Stuff World, they're selling, stripper for minis, like paint stripper for minis, um, that works on plastic as well.
I know there's a few of them like biostrip and stuff like that, but it's just a case of getting your hands over it in Ireland. You know what I mean? It can be
Yeah.
hard to get some of
Yeah.
this stuff. Like,
Jesus,
but
they won't even fucking post aerosol cans.
nah, they would, yeah. Even like trying to buy stuff off of Amazon can be an absolute pain. Some of the products won't be available here.
Mm.
But
And then This is before, like, I don't know what Brexit's going to do to it now, actually, thinking about it.
This is it. We might have to pay an extra tax on the old Warhammer miniatures. You know, another reason why I'm switching to BattleTech. I'm from the US. But yeah, so this is a BattleTech mini, and I think they're supposed to be 1 in 285th scale, something
Okay.
like that. So they're like 6 mil, and then
Could you potentially put little tiny houses and like screaming children on the base and stuff?
oh, you could do, yeah, yeah. Don't see why not. But
Now,
like
and could you
uh,
make those out of toys?
miniature. One of my mates gave me scale of a 28-ish mil scale, and he's a bit of a big boy. I don't know if I'll be able to get the whole thing in shot, but I put a picture up on me Plastic Crack Gaming Facebook page. But so that's what a mech size would be compared to like an orc boy. Um, yeah, they're big enough. They're like bigger than knights.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? They're a bit bigger than some of the knights. They're probably about the size of the big knights, and maybe yeah, smaller than the warhounds, but bigger than most knights. But they're a
Even,
lot.
yeah, the design of that looks like realistically, like it's not too
Yeah,
snazzy.
the sci-fi in for the BattleTech is it's more grounded in
Mm, mm.
reality, I suppose. There's no aliens really. In one novel, there was like some form of aliens, but they're very primitive. There's now like it's all about humans. What's the best way to describe BattleTech? BattleTech would be like Game of Thrones in space. It's all about lords and houses and power and backstabbing and civil wars and
Well, that's what
all.
they need, don't they? That's what they need. They need a TV series.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely, they need to do something like that. But yeah,
And
that's.
maybe like Game of Thrones, where there's a kill in every episode, there's boobs in every episode, and then people.
Mostly Zen is saying use methylated spirits. It's cheaper and less smelly. Methylated spirits. Is that not white spirits? Is that not melt plastic?
I wouldn't have thought that would work on plastic. I've not actually tried it though.
Methylated spirits. I might have to give it a bash.
I've got a load of minis in a tub, a little jar here somewhere.
God knows how long they've been in there. Right, folks, I'm going to
Sorry, John.
put up the live stream work in progress link one more time, and we're going to go and have a look now in a second. So this is your last heads up beforehand. Paste it in there. Oop. Go have gander. Are you ready to go have a look, Heather? We'll see what people are. There's a few images there already. See what people have been working on. A couple of minutes, and we'll go bounce over. Did you get much progress done yourself? I managed to get like about 6 orcs painted black. I know it's not that exciting, but I suppose it's some form of paint.
Literally, I was just taking all these skulls off of,
Giving them a click. Look,
just
this
giving
is the
them.
thing with the hobby hangouts is you're here for the chats. You know what I mean? Uh, having a having a laugh. Now, if I was smart enough, you know, and I think if I prepared things in advance, I'd have a link for your channel all set up. That'll take me one moment.
Well, I
So
mean, I think there's not many other channels similar to 5header as a name.
this
One,
is it. Now I have it there. But yeah, give people a quick a description. Like, what do you do on your channel? Is it like you're pulling something like me, where it's a case of you're enjoying your hobby and just sort of throwing videos up. There's a link in the chat.
basically, yeah. If you like, I think what's the tagline I have on it is like, I make stupid things for fun sometimes.
Yeah, I saw that. I thought that was
Basically
hilarious.
covers anything I want to do. So it's right there. If people aren't promised anything, they're not going to get. Basically, that whatever I'm working on at the moment that I think is that I would like to watch. If I was following my channel, if I'd be interested in it, I'll share it. If it's something shit, I'm not going to share it. So if I don't, yeah, if I don't have anything good enough to share, I just don't. But at the moment, yeah, I'm kind of getting back into the orcs, into these snake bites, and it kind of has been because the four war bosses kind of following up with that and your chats and that kind of thing is pretty cool, and being a bit more active in the community, the orc community. Like
Yeah,
I don't
you know what I mean. It's easy to get into orcs. I think you can easily get
know.
caught up in them because you can just have a bit of crack with them. You know what I mean. You don't have to be too restricted. You can.
Oh, totally. Like I have some older videos there that are my orcs from whatever year it was, I don't know, but they're all converted and they're all silly and crazy. Um, a lot of them have been aggressively dipped, which is regretful, but so they're quite shiny in that. But like whatever, the ideas, the conversions in the ideas are there. Some of them are using toys and that as well. So I would probably have a force to field if I had to. Um, how competitive it would be is something else. I don't know, but it would be fun and it would look crazy. So that's kind of it. There's also like a lot of D&D stuff on the channel and converting toys and making monsters, basically. Fun stuff.
Yeah, that's like some of that stuff I thought was pretty good. What was it? Was it a cockatrice or something like that? It was like a competition build you were doing where you put like feathers into it and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was like I was talking about earlier, the guys on YouTube that do um D&D kind of crafting. They do a lot of terrain and a lot of them will do like big monsters and creatures as well, and you can use the same techniques for obviously 40k terrain or big monsters and bits and bobs in 40k. So it's all the uh, same idea. And they did ones where they'd run, oh, you have to make a creature out of a toy or whatever, and then everybody puts
Like a
in their
challenge sort of. Yeah, yeah.
challenge, yeah, and there's prizes and bits. I don't know if they do them anymore. I entered a few of them, but yeah, I don't know. It's cool. It's cool, and you'll see kind of uh, animals or not animals, but toys, especially animal toys, in different ways. Like if you're like I'm working on a little squiggot at the moment, which is this a dinosaur toy that cost €2 or something? I'm building on it, so you'll kind of like maybe expand your horizons of what's possible for materials and looking at toys in different ways for potential for bits and bobs if you're not too stuck on keeping it 100% GW.
Yeah, this is it. Like, unless someone's playing in their local GW specifically, like, rummaging around in a pound shop to get something to make a
Mm,
squiggot out of.
mm,
You know what I mean? No
totally.
harm in that. Have a bit of a laugh. So were
And
you not working on a squiggot as well? I think we're posting up images.
who me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you call it a squiggle, you just call it, there's different sizes of ones. Like, I have it here, but that's like the Triceratops body, and then you got the platform on the top, and I'm thinking about these tusks here, which is a potential, and you got the boys on the back with the rocket launchers. So you got this guy in the front, that's going to have a big banner, um, and it's all the sprue and bits and bobs. But uh, yeah, so that's it. Like as a basic model, like that's only £2. Now, one thing I am thinking about that I have researched last night was base size for this guy, and I think he might fit on one of the new vehicle bases, but I'm not too sure.
The war buggy ones. Yeah, yeah. You should. Yeah, you should be able to. You could stick them on them. I think I have the actual official Squiggle miniature, and it didn't come with a base when I bought it, but I think you could put it on either the flyer base, but it would fit on on that base you're on about, that the war buggy one. Yeah, because I think I even
Yeah,
have one of the. See, I still have all the war buggies, man. You know what I
kind
mean?
of,
They're all in the
yeah,
pile of shame. They were in sub assemblies. I don't have a base handy there. I thought I had a base handy there to throw on the camera and then show
mm,
people, but yeah, no, I think it would work. I think it would work on one of those war buggy bases.
just to kind of set it as a a scene as well. Do you know, to make it a complete model, because it looks a lot like a toy right now. Obviously, when you spray it and it's all black and everything, it kind of brings it together, and the different materials, you don't really see.
You don't
But
notice, yeah.
yeah, once it's on a base, then you can do the scenery and bits and bobs and mushrooms and all, like the other boys I have. It brings them all together. Now, as for the color of the squig art, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that yet, but that's miles ahead of me. So
Oh, it
I'll
looks
figure it
good,
out when
man.
I come.
Yeah, you definitely a squigot. You could definitely do a squigot. It's about the right size. It's really good. Definitely. Right, we'll bounce over and we'll have a look at the Discord. Don't forget, folks, keep throwing images in. We'll have a gander. If I hit this button here, hopefully they can still hear. Right, so first off the bat, it's gonna be a bit of lag for 5header. For header. Sure, he's a mad header, your man. There's gonna be a bit of lag for him, but we'll have a look at what people have been working on. So Dean posted up. He said he's been painting some hassle-free crooked dice, heresy, and studio miniatures. So he's got a mixed bag of stuff going on. I think Dean was showing these in one of his videos. So he's got like there's loads of weird characters in here. There's gas. There's like Dick Dastardly and Muttley. He's got like Willy
Oh,
Wonka. There's a
you've got that
few
banana
other.
guy to the right there. I recognize him.
Which?
There was a banana guy down to the bottom right. He's got
Oh
like an
yeah, yeah. There's a banana guy. Yeah, yeah, in a banana suit. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Like some
The
of
other
these, I just
guy.
gas. Yeah, I look forward to seeing them all finished up and painted. Definitely, some of them look hilarious. I know there's like the Wizard of Oz. Jesus, I'm losing the plot now.
The Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz, we're off to see the wizard. So he's got the Tin Man, the Lion. You know what I mean? Yeah, man, they look cool. I look forward to seeing them done. What were we saying, Heather?
Hassle Free has some great stuff, like a mad selection of stuff actually.
Yeah, I haven't really. I'm starting to broaden my horizons. Like I bought a couple of Gundam kits and I bought like a bolt action tiger, so I'm starting to branch out. So maybe in the future, something
There's,
with
there's plenty out there, believe me. I have so many different companies bookmarked that I check every so often, and I probably shouldn't because they're all very tempting. In a way.
Oh yeah, I know how that is. Yep, yep, yep. I know how that works. All right. You have Gar said it's not a work in progress, but celebrating the completion of his second squad of Grok guards. Oh, nice.
I saw him post them the other day. They look actually great all together as well.
Gar stuff is like we've done in the past. We've done a few apocalypse games, orc only apocalypse games in Warhammer World,
Class.
and Gar stuff is like it's really top notch stuff. Like doing some cracking conversions. He does blood axes as well, and it's like his conversions are nice, man. They really are. Like
There's
I
a
think,
ton of work gone into them. You can even tell from that photo that
yeah, oh yeah, even just the grots, like the amount of detail put into them, like the helmets that have been cut and the grot heads so that they all fit in. Like, yeah, they
that'd
look
be
good.
pretty hard to do. Fucking hell, that'd be a pain. You have to get a Dremel at that for sure.
Oh yeah, that's a that's dedication to the cause. All right, that's what you're seeing there.
And then they get blown off the table, and you're like,
Oh
hey,
yeah,
that.
yeah. Oh, but yeah, like you were saying, when they're all together, it looks class. So yeah, cracking work, Gar. Fair play, man. Fair play. Really nice work. Love it. Tom is saying, I finally finished this guy who's been half finished for ages.
Oh, that's a good feeling.
Garborn Zap Daka. Nice. Nice,
It's a
man.
great pose as well. I know that's the flash gates, isn't it? Is that the flash gate kit?
Yeah, the flash kick kit. The big old gun.
That's the one. That one pissed me off because I've not got that kit, but there's one where the knob or something is holding the gun really weird and then smoking a cigar. And I'm just like, how the fuck? I know he's an orc, but how is he holding the gun like that? It's like the size of it. It doesn't make any sense.
Because he eats his spinach, you know what I mean?
I do- no, that's cool though. I like that.
Yeah, it's nice. Very nice paint job.
Does he name every one of his minis, though, do you think? Or is
I'm
that
curious now. That would be like, could you imagine like someone having 300 odd orcs in their army and
yeah,
every single one of them's named? They'd be like,
yeah.
love it. Well done, Tom. Very good. Tom is working on a Gargant as well. If you ever get the chance to have a gander.
Oh Jesus.
Oh yeah, it's proper, proper.
That's like a lifetime like masterpiece type idea. Like that's just an intimidating project.
It'll be worth it in the end. You have Essex Boys. He's painting up his objective markers. Essex Boys also runs a YouTube channel. He does some really good battle reports, and his tables are done up really nicely. Puts a lot of effort into the tables. You can tell a lot of care is put into them. They look really nice, man. A nice.
I think I found his stuff actually through the I'm a Wargamer as well. I think I subbed to him.
Yeah,
But,
yeah,
my dad be like, that'd be like the person that if I was there painting a mini or something where he's, you're outside your back garden spraying, and then your neighbor's like, "Hey, what you doing there? Oh, you spraying some Warhammer? Yeah, I have some of that as well." You go into his house and he's got mad tables.
yeah.
You're like, "Well, I'm gonna fucking suck this lad's dick, like, like legitimately class. I'm gonna be this lad's best friend, like a really nice setup table." He's just,
Oh,
you know, he's
definitely.
chewing gum. Hey, what would you like? Yeah, yeah, cool. Yeah, I'll bring that over. Yeah. Do you want some cans? Yeah, I'll get you some cans, like, no worries. Yeah, good.
Lord, Lord. Yeah, so he's been chipping away at his Zell active markers. I'm sure they look absolutely smashing on the table, especially with the rest of his stuff.
Mm.
Really nice. There's the old corrugated cardboard for the sheeting.
That's a fun idea as well. Objective markers you can really go mad with. Like you're kind of thinking, what would orcs really be fighting over? Is it like a big keg of brew?
Oh, yeah,
Or
could do stuff. I had a concept for objective markers. I was thinking, so that it would look good narratively. You could do like ammo crates on pallets that are covered in tarp or supplies like that, but I'd want to build it so that it'd fit into the back of trucks, so that like you you'd have them displayed in the trucks as supply trucks when you're
mm,
not playing the game. But then when you're playing objectives, that you could have them on the table as objective markers. You know what I mean? Something
that'd
that
be
would
lovely,
look
yeah.
look cool. I thought that would be a good concept. But yeah,
There's
they're
probably
looking up.
yeah, man, a few magnets would make that fucking golden. Like I don't know, magnets are just they make minis so cool. I don't know why. If you have a dude and you can take his gun off with magnet, it's like the best thing. It's just so cool.
What is this wizardry?
Yeah, it's just class.
He's also working on this guy Tom with a really big gun. Another
Oh, so
flash kit.
cool. Yeah,
Got himself a Tel rail gun. Is it?
class. Yeah.
No, it's not the forced fire cannon. I don't know. It's a
Like
tail gun of some form or another. Yeah, it
first
looks
sounds right to me.
it's a burst fire cannon or something.
You can
Looks
almost hear the DACA.
yeah, you can hear it wearing up.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely nice, good direction. Like it. I'm also liking the sneaky metal commando on the back. Don't think I didn't notice there, Tom. Don't think I didn't notice. Orc stuff, not new, but these BB orcs that Scar was priming don't need too much work to make pretty decent knobs. Oh, so these are the Blood Bowl. These are made from Blood Bowl orcs. Ah,
Oh wow. Oh,
yeah,
look at all the fucking huge chocolate that's class.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Got a fucking slice. What was it? Cleft the Space Marine in twain.
That, oh yeah, and his mate behind him at that rate. Look at this, man. Look at the reach on that. No mucking about.
I like
Yeah, they
that.
look sweet. Orc stuff. He's a mad lad for the old Milliput. Fair play to him.
I've seen his stuff. Yeah, it's crazy. You see, really, the whole thing, like the whole thing out Milliput or like vehicles and everything.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Like
I
he
love that.
starts off with like sheet metal from like tins of beans. You know what I mean? Washes them out, flattens it, and it bit uses that as the substructure, and then just goes to town. Like it's some of the stuff just looks crazy. Like
It's cool though because then all his stuff will have that kind of uniform
that
of
aesthetic.
style.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And people be like, "Where'd you buy that mini?" We're like, "Yeah, all right." No.
Boy,
You know,
mini. No, no, no. And his stomper, that's a gargant in and of its own right, is absolutely class as well. Smoggy.
I don't think I've seen that one.
So Dame managed to get the Banana Man banana coloured.
Well,
Two base coats on.
that's all we can ask.
Very nice stuff. Essex boys, he got some decent progress on his objectives. Nice use of the cable tie. It's literally cable tied down. Oh, I love it.
But that's kind of it as well. Like when you look at things differently, especially with terrain, you can get away with it a lot more. Like coming back to it, there's so many crafters on YouTube that like scratch bashing or whatever, scratch building, and all these other guys that do terrain that just go mental with absolutely scraps of different shapes, and it's all just it comes out looking unreal in the end.
Mm.
Really good stuff. That's a completely different angle to the hobby again. Like,
Oh, yeah, but this is like the hobby's multifaceted. Like even you were talking about 3D printing. Like
mm,
there's so many parts of the hobby that you'll use for the game or whatever that are nearly hobbies in and of themselves. Like, or pretty much are. Like the whole
yeah,
3D printing thing's a rabbit hole you could disappear down into. You could be totally lost in it, or you could just be going into the scenery aspect of it. Like I could see people getting lost
mm,
in that, where they're just salvaging stuff or getting cheap toys, or what I mean, dumpster diving for bits and pieces.
yeah,
Just to build terrain and be like, oh, I don't know what I'll use this for, but I'll hold on
yeah.
to it. Like I'm guilty of that myself. What did I used to do when I worked in hotels? I used to hold on to the inner cores from the till rolls when I was a barman, as they were plastic tubes.
Mm.
I used to hoard loads of them. I did, just for pipes and exhausts and other bits and pieces, like you know what I mean, just in case.
Just kind of picking rubbish. Otherwise, like,
It's been
that'd be another thing with those type of games as well. Like the more modern games like that. Like obviously those characters are a bit crazy with Banana Man and all this, but if you were to, you could really represent yourself in mini form in a zombie apocalypse type idea because there's so much of a range of things. Obviously, like hassle free, and I think I got a multi-part plastic kit for some kind of apocalypse survivors as well at some point from, was it Warlord Games or something? And
mm-hmm.
they were the same scale. And they have different body shapes, have like haircuts, weapons, this kind of thing that you could actually kind of make yourself with a bit of work. Um, yeah, Warlord, yeah. Dim's, you might know the one I'm talking about. That you could really make yourself in 28 mil, kind of maybe 25 mil, whatever would fit in with the majority of zombie side zombies and mad zombie kind of minis that are all over the place.
Brack's been working on his Daka tank. Nice. It's like a Gear Guts special there. Nice 3D printed miniature. All the Daka. Speaking
I
of
think,
Gear Guts,
yeah, the tracks
talking
are the fucking bad bit, isn't it? The tracks are the bit that nobody likes, from what I hear from completely scratch building.
scratch building tracks, mate, is oh jeez.
Like that. Especially if you have to measure every little bit, I'd be like, I'm just not doing it. Like, I
That's what
fucking,
slowed down me grot tank build. Is the tracks aren't too bad once you get into a method of doing it, and I still have to do a video on that. But it's the running gear, it's the wheels and the
hmm,
shocks and all that type of stuff to make it look decent.
just buy toys with big wheels on them. The thing is with toys though, you have to be wary of the type of plastic it is, because a lot of plastic you'll have to sand or it won't take paint, and
Yeah.
it's like coming around to it again. Chipping is a pain in the rim, so like it just ruins it. So yeah, you'd really have to sand a lot of it. But a lot of toys and that kind of thing will have good wheels. So obviously, if a grot tank has wheels, it's not really a tank, I suppose. But
Well, it depends. Like some tanks have had wheels as well.
mm,
Yeah, no, I've seen people do interesting stuff with scale model kits, like because the running
mm,
gear and the tracks are already. Yeah, that's what knocked my finishing the grot tank that I have on the head was the
yeah,
down the tracks and the running gear on it. It's like Jesus.
Would you
Gear guts.
consider getting some tracks? You can buy bits from Ramshackle, probably be able to do you a set of tracks pretty cheap, maybe.
Yeah. Just need to get the finger out. Do you know what I was actually eyeing up? Lego Technic tracks. They look decent. Just cover them with a plate. There you go.
Are they rubber?
No, they're made of they're Lego bits, but they interlock with each other, so they don't look like Lego.
Hey, you could be onto something there, yeah.
I think I have one there. Oh, I saw them around, so I think someone bought me like one of the Lego things from the Solo film. It's like that train thing, the monorail train that they rob. The
Mm.
the Lego kit of it has a big mono uh has a track to drive it. And I was looking at this going, this stuff, it's about Baneblade size, the tracks.
Yeah.
Definitely be lootable.
Ev-
Google's doing a
Everything fucking world
pick.
is like that.
Oh yeah, it could totally loot it. Like I was looking at
Yeah,
it. Cracking job, man. Say that'd be
yeah.
nice printed up in resin.
I have to get some Gear Guts stuff. Even if I can get his most naked looking boys, so I can just build on top of them. Because I asked him before, he said his boys are like the size of knobs, so like just a big load of big chunky boys.
Oh
I
yeah.
want chunky boys, is what I'm saying.
They're big gates, like the war boss that I have that he sent me, it's a big boy, like
Yeah.
proper rack. More pictures of his Daka tank. Nice. Nice work, Brack. I see you've done a bit about with the front end of it.
I actually ruined the Lehman Russ at one point. I had the Lehman Russ that I had from Imperial Guard, then I looted it and I repainted it without stripping it, and then also put a load of sand and mud on the front of it, as in it was real sand, and it looks silly now. It looks actually just covered, half covered in actual sand and not to scale, because yeah, obviously this was years ago, but it doesn't make any sense. Like I completely ruined the mini. Like it's been through like 3 different lives and chopped up and everything, and it's just I don't know if it's salvageable, but
Worst
yeah,
case scenario, you could turn it into a Hulk for terrain.
yeah, actually, yeah, it would look like a really good destroyed tank. Actually, yeah. I just smash it with a hammer.
Yeah,
Right through.
just like you could do paint it up in loads of browns and oranges for rust.
Mm.
Do parts of it so it looks like it's been burnt out.
Yeah, just
Worst
smash it with
case, you can always do that with them.
a
You know
steps
what I
on
mean?
it. Yeah, yeah.
You can get in touch with your childhood again with the wanton destruction and get the hammer to it. You know what I mean? You'd be in your element, bud.
Smash things up. Yeah,
Oh, there you go.
but
There's another one he's printed up. Look, they're 10 mil squares there, like on his cutting mat. That gives you an idea of how big the boy is.
I like the bit of motion in that. The really static bikers I don't like. The ones where they have their 2 arms and they look like they're concentrating on driving. I'm like what? It's a fucking orc, like. Yeah,
This is
that's
it.
cool.
They'd be jeering each other if they were driving along in a mob or
Mm.
busy doing something distracted. Yeah, I think orcs would be one of the more distracted drivers of the 40 millennium. And then the last image we have is Brack with his Eat My Dust git on the back of his Dakar tank. Nice.
Is that
Very
printed?
nice.
That tank is printed, is it?
This is 3D printed, this tank. Yeah.
You can never actually tell. I can't
Yeah, yeah,
really,
yeah. I mean, there's telltale signs, but it
like,
looks good. It looks
is it
like,
the
you know what I
lines
mean?
going down the pipe? Is that what I'm copping here?
Yeah, there's striations from printing, but
Yeah, I only copped it there.
that's you know what I mean. Like I said, they're tabletop miniatures,
Oh yeah, yeah.
but
And
this is 3D printed as well. But you know what I mean. It just depends on the printer. You wouldn't know with some of them. That's the
how tough is the resin like when it comes to small detail and stuff? How tough is
it's
your
it's like it's like resin miniatures. You know what I mean. You drop it and it's gonna crack probably, but like
mm, it's the same, yeah, yeah.
drop back out there and we'll have a look. Um, on the table. Yeah, because my Warboss, someone knocked over me Warboss miniature and his shoulder cracked. So this must have smashed off the floor. But like just the shoulder corner piece broke off. Like the rest of him is still
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
he's a solid bit. Like you know what I mean. Like once it's printed, like the resin stuff is it's
That's
Big,
big.
big and strong, like, you know. So I need to
I,
finish him up
yeah,
eventually.
I was actually tempted on of buying Dim's War Boss because it's. I
I
think
won't
I.
take any offense to that. Don't worry.
Because it's quite suitable for like snake bites and that. I think I convert it pretty good, like just with the grab a stick and that kind of thing. It would kind of suit, and he's got the Gretchen on his back and all. It would work. They're fucking big though. Like I didn't even realize. I saw scale. Like obviously the one you have there, scale wise to the boy.
Well, here,
It's
hold on. I have. What do I have? I have. So this is the Skarnir Warboss miniature, and then there's the big mech with shock attack on. But obviously, I haven't stuck the shock attack on, and that's the
mm,
size comparison. Like the big mech comes up to like his chin, like the clearance. Yeah, like they're big. Like look at
mm.
his leg. His leg goes up to like the hip on the Warboss goes up to the big mech's shoulder, pretty much. Like they're big boys.
Did you ever think you'd have an orc mini version of yourself?
Never. It's a bit odd. I
Mm,
think my brain hasn't quite twigged it yet, but it's a bit odd, but it's cool. It is very
yeah.
cool. Even better when I do get the finger out and finish painting the bloody thing. But I've time off at the end of the month, so we might actually get some bleeding projects finished for once. Might have some Bloodborne Orcs done. Might have a War Boss done. You know, no promises, obviously. You know, but
You get
you know, we might get some of it done. So yeah, guys, this has been great crack. Thanks for sharing your projects. There's 5header's channel again. There's a link for it. If you haven't checked out his channel, I would suggest you go do so. Very creative, very individual projects, very interesting. Gives you a lot of ideas of what you could do with different project stuff that you know I wouldn't even have thought about. Like, run of the mill stuff. I can see the kids' toy box being looted a fair bit. But yeah, uh, thanks for coming on, bud.
down,
I've
man.
it's
Yeah,
been
it was
good
good.
crack. Hoping you enjoyed it too, and we'll get you back on again soon enough to torment the rest of them, and we'll like to see some progress on your squigot, whether you decide to base them or not, and where you go from there.
Stick at it and get it done, and to some extent, and yeah, yeah, and keep you updated.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, post
No,
post
good to have you.
images in the Discord like the rest of the gits. So for everyone that's joined us as well and painted along, thanks for a hobby hangout. Hopefully we'll get the ball rolling and get this more regular again, work permitting, but it all depends. But yeah, it's been great crack. So thanks for being on 5header, and thanks for the rest of you for joining in. And we'll catch you in another hobby hangout soon enough.
Good
Take
luck,
it easy,
lads.
guys.